Hi, the artist Furia, as per usual. I just wanted to give you guys a quick disclaimer. No music, no fancy editing, no nothing. All right, this is just going to be me talking into the void. I'll probably throw some friggin', Deltarune or Nine Souls gameplay or something. I don't know. I should make my capture card work so I can record Pokemon Legends ZA. That'd be pretty good background footage, right? Doesn't matter. So, this is a very rushed video because I have another video I'm working on right now, analyzing the trim of the enchanted blades. That should be out soonish, but this is kind of just to hold you guys over until then. This is not really that well edited. This is just kind of yapping to the void. So if you have an issue with that, you are more than welcome to click off and watch something else, because I don't care. I mean, I do care, but not that much. I don't make money. I do this for fun. So enjoy. Kagurabachi's 100th chapter has given us major revelations on the character and identity of the Sword Saint, the wielder of the Magatsumi Enchanted Blade and leader of the Sword Bearers during the Seitei War. In this video, it's time we finally look at the man behind it all, Akemura Soga. As per usual, I'd like to warn any of you who dislike speculation and subtext to go watch my power scaling content. This is not the video for you. What we know about Soga from the earliest point in the timeline is fairly straightforward. He's the younger brother-in-law, yes, you heard that right, Viz messed up yet again on their translation, of Kunishige Rokuhira. This means that at the oldest, during the onset of the Seitei War, he must have been about 19 years old. His older sister was in a secret marriage with Kunishige Rokuhira, likely not changing her family name in order to preserve the secret. After the 5 enchanted blades that were first made, Kunishige entrusted him with the enchanted blade Magatsumi. Magatsumi, as the core of the eternal contracts, made his life especially valuable, as the other sword bearers would die if he did. Regardless, the title of Sword Saint does not come without hard work and talent, something that Soga seemingly has in spades. Soga led the other 5 sword bearers, Seiichi Samura, Yoji Uruha, Ibuki Misaka, Subaru, and the currently unnamed Pink Bearer, to victory against the enemy island, and eventually the royal family was ousted. The people of the island surrendered, and there was a peace treaty signed. For about a month, there was peace. Sometime during this period of peace, Soga's big sister gave birth to her and Kunishige's firstborn child, a boy, given the name Chihiro. For reasons currently unknown to us, Soga decided, after a month of peace, to take his enchanted blade and draw out the full potential of its true realm. The true realm of an enchanted blade conforms to its bearer. In a moment of full lucidity and consciousness, Soga took to the island and harmonized with Magatsumi to unleash nationwide destruction. Not out of madness, not because the blade took over, but purely because he believed it was the best course of action. In seemingly an instant after uttering a single word, the people of this island were reduced to skeletons. That word was the name of his new, ultimate ability, Kadoku. The ultimate combination of all of Magatsumi's abilities to make the ancient insect jar ritual manifest on that island took 200,000 lives, and it took the combined power of the other 5 sword bearers to defeat and contain him. Following this turn of events, Kunishige and the other sword bearers attempted to destroy Magatsumi using any means possible. All attempts failed to destroy any of the enchanted blades. Regretfully, he made the decision that the enchanted blades should never be used again if they couldn't be destroyed. The Kamunabi and Togoshiba together set up a place for Kunishige to go into hiding, with barriers to alert Shiba if anything happens. Afterwards, Kunishige would have every enchanted blade sealed up, with Magatsumi having an even stronger seal than the others, and take baby Chihiro with him, where they would live for 15 years. Kunishige struggled with his actions, and why wouldn't he? His closest ally, his younger brother-in-law, his family, committed an atrocity with a weapon of his making. The blood was on his hands. We cut to the present day, where Kunishige is dead, and it is revealed that Soga has been sealed up since that final battle on the island. Soga has been placed in a deep underground sealing room under zero stimulus. The seals substitute biological function, and it seems that the room he's in has no light either. He doesn't eat, go to the bathroom, or sleep. He simply sat in the same position for 18 years, yet he is completely composed and lucid when talking to Yuta and affirms that his actions were done with focus and intent. He also reveals that he can sense the movement of the enchanted blades, likely due to his unique connection to them. One final thing to note is his ability to hijack the minds of those who would attempt to wield Magatsumi. Kyoda Sazanami had his mind under constant attack and was slowly dying. However, Soga stopped trying to take over Yuta and instead elected to let him approach so that they could talk. This is where I would like to pivot to looking at the meaning behind Akemura Soga's name. The characters making up Akemura are Ake, which means bright, clear, or light, Mu, which means nothing, and Ra, which means good or virtuous. His surname, Soga, is historically linked to the powerful Soga clan. So means ancient or formerly, and Ga means I, self, or ego. Put together, we can translate his first name of Akemaru to mean light devoid of virtue. His last name would then translate to former self. Put together, in the Japanese order of family name and then last name, his full name meaning would be former self, light without virtue. This can allude to the man he was before the Seitei War and the fact that something is missing now that he's committed an atrocity and was left to rot. The next thing I want to address is the origins of the name Soga. This name likely comes from the old Japanese story Soga Monogatari, or, if I recall, the tale of the Soga brothers. Could be wrong on that. This story recounts the tale of the real-life Soga brothers and their quest for vengeance. I'll spare you the recounting of the entire story, but here's the TLDR. Set in the early Kamakura period, which is the 1190s, Soga Monogatari tells the tragic tale of two brothers, Juro and Goro, who dedicate their lives to avenging their father, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, I want to at least try to get the pronunciation accurate, but if I fail, Japanese commenters, don't be mad at me please. Kaozu no Saburo Sukeyasu, murdered by their relative Kudo Saemon Suketsune over a land dispute, raised by their stepfather Soga Sukenobu, who spares them despite orders to execute them. The boys grow up under the weight of the vow their mother forced on them to avenge their father. Years after coming of age and mastering the martial arts, the brothers seize their chance during a grand hunting expedition hosted by the shogun Minamoto no Yorimoto at the base of Mount Fuji. Disguised among the hunters, they infiltrate Suketsune's camp, slay him in retribution, and then fight valiantly against overwhelming odds. Juro is killed in the ensuing chaos, while Goro is captured and brought before Yorimoto. Moved by Goro's honesty and devotion, Yorimoto briefly considers mercy, but ultimately orders his execution in order to prevent another cycle of revenge. After all, Suketsune had sons that would consider seeking revenge for the death of their father. We can use this information to try to piece together the character of Akemura Soga and predict what Hokazono is planning here. Of the two brothers, I believe Akemura is most similar to Goro. Here's my interpretation. Akemura Soga was a few years younger than Kunishige, which would mean he was an indoctrinated child soldier. As stated before, Kunishige was 20 years old when the war began. He held powerful nationalist beliefs and fiercely loved his family. This combination of family values and nationalism lit a fire under him. As a prodigy who earned the title of Sword Saint at a very young age, it was no surprise that he was given the enchanted blade Magatsumi. He loved his brother-in-law like a real brother, and he fought to defend his nation and its people. However, there was something unforeseen about Magatsumi specifically. Kagurabachi has consistently been raising this question of if anyone can use the enchanted blades, and if Magatsumi was truly innocent in the crimes of Soga. While Soga owns up to it, I want to believe there's a piece of falsehood here that even he isn't aware of. For those of you that are into Marvel, you will be familiar with the infamous Venom symbiote. Venom is not an inherently evil being, and it doesn't make its hosts evil. Venom simply amplifies its host's emotions. Symbiote Spider-Man is not evil, it's just that Peter's repressed negative emotions are fully brought out. This is what I believe Magatsumi does. The resentment and fear of temporary peace within Soga's heart following the ends of the Seitei War only made more extreme by the birth of his nephew Chihiro. He loved the new addition to the family, but more than anything wanted a safe and secure life for him. But Magatsumi pulled his anxieties to the forefront, and a mere month after the peace treaty was signed, his desire to protect his nephew boiled over to his breaking point. People on both sides of the war lost people, and the cycle of hatred does not end easily. Unfortunately, this peace isn't guaranteed to last, and the easiest long-term solution, in his eyes, was to eliminate the threat entirely before it could ever resurface. With a calm head, he took to the island and drew from Magatsumi's true realm to eradicate the enemy. For Japan, for Kunishige, for Chihiro. This interpretation can also recontextualize his actions in the Rakuzaichi. His taking over of Kyoto and the subsequent destruction will be done because he knows what the Rakuzaichi is. It's been a thing for over 200 years after all. His own personal convictions would tell him that the Rakuzaichi, the selling and dehumanization of Japanese people, would be disgusting. The spread of the flowers and the massacre was him enacting his own justice, not just indiscriminate bloodlust. And this can also tell us why the flowers are still on the island. His hatred for those who threaten his beloved nation and its people will never wane. So, do I believe that Soga will actually side with Yura? I don't really think that's going to be the case. He might take the offer to get out of prison, but I doubt he truly has any desire to serve or partner with the Hishaku. They killed his brother-in-law and have set his nephew on a path to hell. I believe Soga, with Magatsumi in hand, will become a third party in the Kamunabi and Hishaku's deadlock. I doubt he has any plans to attack or hurt Chihiro, though that doesn't mean he'll join the main team or anything. However, there is something odd about Soga that I feel nobody's really discussing, which is the lack of knowledge about him. And I don't mean that we don't know a lot, or that Chihiro doesn't. I mean the fact that quite literally nobody in the story except for Soga himself seems to know certain things about Magatsumi and Soga. Chapter 72 shows us a faceless statue of Soga, and also gives us a private conversation between Samura, who fought alongside him, and Ichiki, who was one of their leaders. When discussing Soga, they call him the Sword Saint, and Magatsumi is called the Shinuchi. You could hand-wave away other interactions as simply them trying to keep this information under wraps, potentially to protect Chihiro. But this is different. They don't even know Chihiro exists in this conversation. This is well before that, and yet behind closed doors, these two still use the titles of the Blade and the Bearer. What the hell is going on here? Another interesting point is Uruha. Uruha fought with and against Soga, and we see him posted up with the other sword bearers while Centipede is active, and yet he doesn't know what Centipede is. He thinks it's Chihiro's attack, some variation of Kuro, and it's only after fighting Yura that he makes the connection. He doesn't know how it works, and is figuring it out with everyone else. However, Uruha is familiar with how Cloud Gouger's Mei and Tobimune's Suzaku work. Other Kamunabi fighters, and higher-ups, also know how Tobimune's Owl works, and yet they seem to only know Soga and Magatsumi by title and action. It's incredibly odd. Samura also has no reason to tiptoe around Soga's name when fighting Chihiro. He's fighting to kill, even if he plans to revive him. Dropping that name, assuming Samura knew the relationship they had, would serve to mentally throw off Chihiro and give Samura an easy out to finish the fight. But Samura seemingly doesn't know about that. Additionally, Shiba only calls him the Sword Saint when telling Chihiro about everything. Why tell him about his father's role in a genocide, but omit the details about his uncle? It further enforces that this is a family issue, and Chihiro, as the son of Kunishige Rokuhira, asserts in Chapter 84 that this is his fight. He wants to fix the mistakes of his father, and knowing that his family was more directly responsible than he thought should logically only add to that desire, right? So what's going on here? Why does nobody call Magatsumi by name, and why does nobody call Soga by name? I have a possible explanation. Take this with a grain of salt. The White Robes, Ichiki, Kazen, and Yatsuru, have significantly more sorcery knowledge than the Masumi. The Masumi's memory wiping spell, what if they know that too? What if Kadoku and the imprisonment of Soga were common knowledge, and the Kamunabi faced backlash for it? In order to protect society's peace, one final act had to be done. They erased the memory of Akemura Soga and the enchanted blade Magatsumi, reducing him to a faceless title, a nameless blade, and only one genocidal act. It's quite realistic for a government to indoctrinate a child soldier into an ultranationalist killing machine, and then throw them away like a toy when it's convenient. It's scarily realistic to just sweep it under the rug and be able to curate the public image of him. Nobody remembers him. No good moments with him. Nobody misses him. This would mean that Ichiki, Kazen, and Yatsuru are simply lying and playing along to prevent information being leaked. It makes me wonder how Chihiro's mom, who is Soga's older sister, reacted to this. I could be wrong, but that's my best guess. While making this video, I was met with an incredibly eye-opening realization from talking about my thoughts on Soga with the others, which is that people don't understand nuance anymore. So I want to add a little something before I close out this video to make things clear. The first, Soga is a bad person. There is never, I want to repeat this, never an acceptable reason to commit a genocide. I want to make that clear. I do not think he will be redeemed. I do not think he will be a good guy. I do not think the story is going to go that way, and I would call that objectively bad writing to the point that I would consider and maybe even follow through with dropping the manga. However, I think making Soga out to be all bad and evil, or all good and simply corrupted by Le Evil Sword, are both incredibly boring outcomes. I find it to be interesting for Soga to be a nuanced, but, and this is the key part, irredeemable character. It also aligns with the very story he gets his name from, for him to have to die to truly end the cycle of hatred. Him wanting to end the cycle of hatred is a noble desire, and that does not mean his actions are okay. I need you guys to really understand what I'm saying here. You can try to do something good. You can think you're the good guy and still be despicable. That is the power of perspective. Open up your minds. Please, I'm begging you guys. Don't go to the comments and say that I am a sympathizer of genocide or call me something analogous to real world events that I'm not going to mention right now. But don't do that. Please. Please don't. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the intention of what I'm saying. And it is incredibly disingenuous to take that narrative from what I'm saying. Okay? We all on the same page? Just want to make sure. Okay, we're on the same page. All right, we can close out this video now. And so, I think that about wraps up my conclusions and predictions for Soga's character. I want to thank my good friend Leah for her help in the research for this script. If you made it this far into the video, comment down below. Leah is the GOAT. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for sticking through to the end, and I hope you guys would consider liking, subscribing, or hyping the video should that option be available to you. I'm Artispheria, and as always, please have yourselves a damn good one.